Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father. And it's going to be on His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harachak Kodash. To put honors be to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well and taught us this 100% truth. Much peace and blessings be unto you, all who elect up to push not this word of thought, truth, and sincerity. To all you I can say Shalom. I am the Akira. I am from the servants of Yahweh, but Yahushai camp coming in with a quick lesson going to how the Lord is pleased with His men, the deeds of His men, and a deed meaning an action. And it has to be a great action too, which actually us doing, going to the highways and hedges is an action, great action too. Hey, we understand the risks it takes, man. Hey, because we're being faced around all this evil, man. So, hey, the Lord is pleased, man. Yeah, like this is in the book of Romans, the 12th chapter, verse 1. I'm at that actually. All right. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. And living sacrifice, meaning we're not gonna actually, be smoked, but we're living, and meaning we're gonna sacrifice our time and things of that sort for this truth, man. So we're wholly acceptable unto Yahweh, which is a reasonable service, and be not conformed to this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good will and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh. Which I'm telling myself first and foremost that I can, because there be times where so I can get distracted, but there be times when we fall apart, we gotta get back up and set our affection on things above. We're not supposed to, dwell in with the former lusts to the flesh. But the priest I want to get with us in the book of Psalms, the 116th chapter, and forgive me for the background noise, Jay being Jay, but this is the book of Psalms, 116th chapter, verse 15. It says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of His saints." And that word "saint" meaning to sanctify, and that ain't talking about everybody, man. We ultimately know that saint referring to the nation of Israel, but within that we're talking about the elect, because that's what it's ultimately about the elect, man. So precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of His saints. You can refer to back in the ancient world when you had the former prophets of old, all right, disciples, the apostles, hey, all those men of the Lord, the bishops, hey, they all got smoked for this thing, man. All right, it's documented that Isaiah got sawn in half. Hey, that was a great prophet, man. The book of Isaiah is one of the biggest books in the scriptures, man. From the first chapter all the way to 66, it goes into 66 chapters. All right, Ezekiel was a great prophet, man. Hey, the disciple Stephen, he got stoned to death, man. The apostles, each one of them died except for John the apostle. Hey, John the Baptist, he got beheaded, man. But that was even a precious, thing in the Lord. Hey, because that was a good deed. Hey, the Lord is pleased with that, man. Hey, the Lord is pleased with that. So, He's even pleased with the death of His Son, man, Yahushai. Hey, when He was on that cross, man. So this is the book of Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. This whole chapter is going to Yahushai, but, going down to the point in verse 10, yet it pleased the Lord to bruise Him. To bruise Him. You had the Roman soldiers, they literally tortured Him, man. They flogged Him, spit on Him, mocked Him, saying, they blindfolded Him. Even Jake blindfolded Him, telling him, Slacky, it was Jake that in the temple of the high priest Caiaphas, what happened was that they blindfolded Yahushua and they smote Him and told Him, prophesy this, who hit you. That's still in my mind. I can never forget that. That pissed me off too. The Roman soldiers, they tortured Him, they beat Him, spit upon Him, they put that crown of thorns upon Him. They put a robe on Him and saying, "Thou art the King of the Jews," in a mocking manner. That was a horrible time for Him, Yahushua. And then when he got, then when he was finally going to Golgotha, he was literally forced to carry his own heavy-ass cross, man. And he fell. And he had to get help by, the Aki Simon, which is really, really the spirit that sent him, that he was there. But then when he was on that cross, you had one of the thieves. They were literally mocking him too, along with the crowd. So, not only that, but even after, he gave up the spirit and he was in the spirit world, you had that Roman soldier throw a freaking spear or a javelin, some, if I'm mistaken, they're the same thing basically, but he threw one of the two into the corpse of Yahweh Shai, man. So, terrible deeds upon the men of the Lord. Hey, this was even going to how you have, how the Lord has sent his prophets unto Jake. And what did Jake do? Hey, they cut him into pieces, man. So he had put him in the grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall save the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied by his knowledge. Shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Hey, this is just going to how he was for an offering for us, man, for our iniquities. Hey, hence why we're redeemed. Which that has a more significant meaning to, the elect. Compared to the whole nation of Israel, although the promised salvation is really, a significant meaning for the elect. That is whom the Lord is coming for. So forgive him all over the place, below was an edifying lesson. This is the book of Matthew, the 3rd chapter, verse 16. It says, Yahweh, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of Yahweh descending like a dove and lightning upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven, which, if I'm mistaken, that was a chariot, correct me if I'm wrong, saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hey, that was the Lord's faith, man. You have to realize that the Heavenly Father has a special relationship, a special bond, an intimate relationship, with that word intimate meaning close, very, very close. Intimate relationship with his Son, and he has a special bond with him compared to the nation of Israel. Because we're just going to how the Lord loves the nation of Israel. But if he loves the nation of Israel, how much more the Lord, Yahweh Shai. So they have a special bond, but it was to the point where the Lord was pleased to bruise him. Imagine that. Bruising up your own beloved Son. That was a terrible. Although the Lord prophesied how he would have to face his judgment when he was back at Solomon. It was still a terrible thing to, bear with that. So Yahweh was pleased to bruise Yahweh Shai's beloved Son. How much more the prophets as well? The Lord's pleased with us, man. So going back to Psalms 116 and 15, it says, Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. Which, if I can get a quick piece of down the book of Sirach, if I'm mistaken, it was the 4th chapter, actually, bear with me, Salaki. Around verse 28 makes the mention. Strive for the truth, which this truth is referring to the biblical truth, man. All right, the ministry. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. And what happened, man? You had the bishop, if I'm mistaken, it was Polycarp, the bishop Polycarp and the bishop Antipas. They were literally martyred, man. They were literally, taken and killed. Those are men of the Lord. And, respects be unto them. If they're in the spirit world or they're on the scene right now, prophesying again. But those are real men of the Lord. What they, you had Polycarp, if I'm mistaken, the account goes into how he had a vision that he would be slain, and what happened then? He got slain. He was taken, he was put up on that cross. If I'm mistaken, he was in one of those Colosseums, and what happened was they put a circle of fire trying to burn him on the cross, but he survived, and what happened was that they stabbed him to death. And with the Antipas, the faithful martyr, Yahweh Shai even spoke about him. All right, that's in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, verse 13. It says, I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan seateth, going into where all the works were being done with Esau and I forget what, Pergamum. I forget the whole thing about that. But it ain't talking about the spiritual demon Satan. It's not talking about that. So we're talking about Esau. But it goes on to say, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days when Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. So he was slain, man. He was martyred. That was a real man of the Lord. So going back, what happened was that when he was taken, he was put in the brazen bull. Look at the old, method of slaying. And the brazen bull was that you put somebody in there, and the fire would be burning from underneath on the outside, and you burn up like that. But it was accounted that after the brazen bull burned, he wasn't burned, all right? He was still intact. His hair was still with him. You know, that was the Lord, right? That was ultimately the Lord. So that he preserved his body. Yeah, but that was a faithful martyr. You know, that even encouraged me. But the book of Sirach, the 4th chapter, verse 28, again it says, strive for the truth and the death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. And the Lord shall fight for thee. You know? And so we're just going to how if the Lord be for us, who can be against us? And this is the Heavenly Father was speaking of, the omnipotent power, you know, sovereign, the Almighty, you know, things of that sort, the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So if he's on our side, just imagine, man. So we're just even going now, we're going to receive spiritual power for those that taste not of death. You know, that was in the book of Isaiah, the 59th chapter, verse 19. You know, and things of that sort. Jeremiah, if I'm mistaken, 50, going to thou my battle axe. You know, fear not, thou worm Jacob, for I shall fight for thee, and things of that sort. So, you know, the Lord is with us, man. Lord will with those men. You know? But I'm going to end it off right there. And hopefully this quick lesson was edifying. To the next one, I say Shalom, Abad Rabah, DT soon, roll out, and Shalom.